Well, we're in the third week of our sermon series on Noah. We looked at God telling Noah to build the ark, and Noah having the faith to believe and to trust God. We looked at God going into great detail about exactly how the ark was to be built. So what's next? Well, next, Noah actually has to build the darn thing, doesn't he? I mean, can you imagine being Noah? God tells you to build this big boat, this ark. And you believe it really is God telling you to do it, but how? How are you supposed to do that? I mean, this is not some little raft we're talking about. This is one great big honking boat we're talking about here. We don't know if Noah had any skills in boat building. All we're really told about Noah is he was a man of the soil, a farmer. Now, a lot of farmers do have some mechanical and carpentry skills and stuff, but still, to build a great big boat like this, big enough for at least two of every animal, every bird, everything. And even if Noah had the skills, where would he get the wood? I don't think they had a Menards back then. Where's he going to get the wood from? Not like he could just run down to the lumber yard. And he needed nails or something to hold it all together. And he needed to get pitch to coat it and to seal it. And then where's Noah going to get all the food from? I mean, he had to have enough food for himself, for his family, for all these animals, all these birds, everything. I don't think Walmart has all of that stuff. He's got to get this from someplace. And after he got it, Noah has to figure out a way to keep it so it's not going to spoil until it's needed. And as far as we can tell, Noah did not know exactly how much food he was going to need. I mean, God said it would rain for 40 days and 40 nights, but it's not like on the 41st day they could just walk off the ark onto dry land. Noah did not know how long it was going to be before the flood waters went down. And in fact, we're told it was a lot more than 40 days. It was 150 days before the ark came to rest on Mount Ararat. And it was 2.5 more months before the tops of the mountains actually became visible. It was months after that before they could actually get off the ark. Still longer before they could plant crops and actually have food to eat. We're talking about at least a year's worth of food that Noah had to have there. Not just for himself and his family, but for all the animals, all the birds, everything. And you know what else? Noah only got one chance to get this right. And if the ark sprung a leak, or if Noah ran out of food, or if something else went wrong, well, not a lot you're going to be able to do about it, is there? He had to get it right the first time. Because if he did not, there would be no second chance. The point is that what Noah was being asked to do here was an incredible undertaking. We've heard this story so many times we don't often think about that. And the Bible really does not make a whole lot about it either. God tells Noah to do all this stuff, and the Bible just says Noah did everything just as God had commanded him. But there was a tremendous amount of work involved in doing this. And we don't know how much of it he had to do by himself. And he had 3 sons. Maybe they helped him. We don't know if he had anybody else working for him. Possibly he did. Still, think about it. Noah must have felt completely overwhelmed by what he was asked to do. Think of how long it must have taken for Noah to get this ark built. Day after day after day working on this big boat. Not being able to work on it every day probably, because he presumably still had to get his farm work done. And if he did not do it, his sons would have had to do it, and then they would not have been around to help on the ark. Everybody else in the world wondering, what in the heck is Noah doing anyway? Wondering if old Noah finally lost it. If he'd gone goofy or something. Making fun of him behind his back. Maybe making fun of him to his face. I wouldn't doubt that even Noah's wife and kids might have thought he was crazy. I mean, God had not spoken to them. God had not told them that Noah was supposed to build this ark. I mean, if I told you I'd heard the voice of God telling me to build this huge boat and put all the animals and all the birds and all the reptiles on it, what would you think? You'd think I'd gone nuts, right? Even Wanda'd probably think I'd gone nuts. It'd sound like the craziest thing you ever heard of. So here's the point. You and I know that we are supposed to serve God. And we say that all the time, right? But most of us, myself included, say it without really thinking about it just too much. Because we don't really expect God to ask too much of us. We don't expect God to ask something of us that's really hard, something that'll take a really long time, something that'll feel really overwhelming. We don't expect that. We don't expect God to really ask us to make significant changes in our lifestyle. We're willing to serve God, but we think, and again, I include myself in this, we think God won't really ask us to do anything that'll require that great a sacrifice on our part. In fact, a lot of times what we do is more serve God in our spare time, in the time we've got left after we've done all of the important things we need to do in our lives. And now don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying that we're all hypocrites. I'm not saying that we don't believe in God or that our faith is not sincere. What I'm saying is most of us don't, and again, I include myself, most of us don't really think about how much serving God could change our lives. We don't think about what it would actually mean for ourselves and for our families if we were truly to dedicate our entire lives to serving God. We don't think about how much we would need to change if we would truly dedicate our entire lives to serving God. If we tried to serve God with everything that we do. And you know, Noah may not have thought about that a whole lot either before all this happened. He may have just been living his life, you know, doing his best, trying to be a good guy, growing his crops, raising his family, helping his neighbors when he could. He may have thought that he was just about as committed to God as he needed to be. He may have thought he was doing okay. And then out of nowhere, here comes God. And God asks Noah to do something really, really hard. Something that probably did not make a whole lot of sense to Noah. And even if Noah understood it, it was something that would have seemed completely overwhelming to him. Something that was going to turn Noah's nice, simple farming life completely upside down. Because that's what God does. And we never know when God may ask it of us. And I never know either. You and I may be living our lives. We may be doing our best, trying to be good people, trying to help our neighbors when we can. We probably figure we're about as committed to God as we need to be. Figure we're doing okay. And then out of nowhere, here comes God. And God may ask us to do something that's really, really hard. God may ask us to do something that really does not make a whole lot of sense to us. God may ask us to do something that seems completely overwhelming. It may be something that will turn our nice, simple lives upside down. That's what God did to Noah. And Noah said, okay, I'll do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. I don't know how I'm going to get all this material I need. I don't know who, if anyone, I can ask to help me. I don't know how long it's going to take me. But okay, I'll do it. I'll do it, God, because I know who you are. And I know if you're telling me to do this, then you'll help me find a way. So what about you? And what about me? What are we going to say? And don't think that God would never choose you or me for something like this. I'm sure Noah never thought God would choose him for something like this either. Because Noah was just this guy, you know. Just a common, ordinary person. But it does not matter if we think we're common, ordinary people. Because, you know, that's all Noah was, and God chose Noah. If God had not chosen Noah, we'd have never heard of him. God often chooses common, ordinary people. People like you and people like me. And God often chooses common, ordinary churches too. God chooses churches to do things sometimes that are really, really hard. And sometimes they don't make a lot of sense. And sometimes they're overwhelming to us. And sometimes God asks us to do something that may turn our nice, quiet church upside down too. If God does that, what are we going to say? Noah said, okay, I'll do it. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Seems overwhelming to me. Does not make a whole lot of sense. But I'll do it. I'll do it because, God, I know who you are. and I trust you. What are you and I going to say? Amen.